Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a Game of Thrones video. I can't believe it, but it is not this Sunday, but the Sunday after. We have basically under 2 weeks now to the premiere for Game of Thrones Season 7. The first question for this one is going to be, Trev, do you think that they're going to be able to pass or surpass Battle of the Bastards? Damn, so I cannot wait for next Sunday night. I really am excited for this one. I mean, this is going to be great. It's going to be awesome to finally have Game of Thrones back on again. And it looks like it's pretty much going to go to the end of August. So this is a weird time of the year to have Game of Thrones kind of straight through the summer like that with the 7 episodes for Season 7, getting us ready for the final season of the show, the absolute final season of Game of Thrones. It's so weird to say Season 8. But yeah, absolutely want to make lots of videos going into the second last season. And this summer, of course, we'll be doing lots of videos for Game of Thrones as we go through, as it's pretty much the series of the summer. Stranger Things got pushed back, as well as Mr. Robot, so I won't be doing either of those this summer. Game of Thrones is going to be the main thing that I'm going to be covering in the channel until Fear the Walking Dead comes back. And even then, really, Game of Thrones is going to take priority over that because, you know, it's only got a couple seasons left, and it's so freaking huge and everything that, yeah, I'm going to focus mostly on that. So if you guys don't know, if you didn't see my reviews last year for Game of Thrones, Season 6, last couple episodes, I think are really the best episodes Game of Thrones has ever had, or at least some of them. A lot of people, there's other episodes, everyone's got their favorites, but I think for me personally, Battle of the Bastards and the Winds of Winter is like the best part of all of Game of Thrones we've seen so far, Game of Thrones Season 6. At first, I thought, like, after seeing Battle of the Bastards, I thought it was, like, the best episode ever. Then we saw The Winds of Winter, and it was crazy as well, because you had, like, more character deaths of prominent characters, so meaning named characters than almost any other episode of anything I've ever seen. I mean, you just have, like, all these characters that have had so many seasons, so many scenes, and just all kinds of interaction between each other. You know, a lot of B-list characters, some A-listers in there, and they just go up in a puff of green smoke, so pretty crazy. So The Winds of Winter was nuts too. Looking back on them, though, I would have to say that I think Battle of the Bastards is probably the best episode Game of Thrones has done so far. I do think so. I mean, you have, like, your ultimate Game of Thrones villain so far with Ramsay. You have Jon, you have the battle, you just have this intensity. You're not sure what's going to happen because it's uncharted territory, and you never know with Game of Thrones. Even if you think Jon's going to win this one, the good guys are going to win, you simply never know. You know, the first time you go through the series and you see what happens with Eddard and then with Robb after, it's like a double twist, and so, you know, we weren't 100% set, you know, all of us, we didn't know for sure that Jon was going to win. Most of us thought he probably was, and I did predictions leading up to that episode. We didn't know for sure. You know, the battle, the sequence, the way it all played out, it was just amazing. So, are they going to be able to surpass it in Season 7 or Season 8, or is it going to remain to be my favorite episode of Game of Thrones ever, even in the end? I mean, Ramsay was such a good villain, so there's only a few, I think, that you could really go with. At this point, there's probably only 2, really. You got Cersei, of course, who's, you know, she's kind of like, I suppose she's a bigger villain than Ramsay. She is. She's like maybe our overarching Game of Thrones, you know, human villain, as far as that goes, and then the Night King. So who's good as well too, because you got the White Walkers. They've been in the series since the beginning too. Supernatural element, but you know, those 2 really are the only ones I think that could maybe give the Battle of the Bastards a run for its money. If we see, like, maybe the final episode of Daenerys versus Cersei when she finally takes her out or something like that, that might be able to do it, but just because of the type of style that Battle of the Bastards was and the type of story that I like to see when I look back on them, I just think to myself, like, wow, you know, that's like the ultimate, you know, sword battle kind of thing. I mean, you could literally, you know, HBO stands for Home Box Office, but you could literally take that episode and put it in a theater, in a movie theater, charge people, you know, however much the movie ticket costs, 10, 15, 20 bucks, whatever, IMAX or whatever, 3D or what have you. And I don't think there'd be almost anybody that would have been disappointed if they had to go and see that at the theater. Luckily, HBO brings, you know, theater at home box office, so it's going to be in home. But man, that episode was just absolutely amazing. So definitely going to watch it again this week to get ready for season 7. Can't wait to see it. But I'm going to say I don't think they're going to be able to do it, at least not for me. Now, that's subjective. Objectively, I think that people may enjoy seeing Cersei being defeated by Daenerys. Should it go that way? Because, again, this is Game of Thrones, so we don't know for sure that's actually going to happen. You'd like to think so, but we don't know for sure. Getting to see Jon Snow defeat the Night King, Night's King, we'll have to see, again as well, too. You don't know for sure, but that should be epic as all hell, and that's been set up for a long time. But Ramsay was just such a good villain, and the way the battle played out, and just the way the cinematography, everything, the way it just felt claustrophobic, and you had all guys piling in on each other, and the strategy, and Littlefinger kind of coming to their rescue there with Sansa at the end. Man, and kind of the final battle, and Jon beating down Ramsay in the end. That's a high bar to set. And I would not be surprised if even in the last 2 seasons, as great as the last 2 could be, that maybe they're not able to surpass that. Because Ramsay was just so evil, and getting to see what he did with Reek or Theon and everything is like, oh man, it's going to be really hard for them to surpass it. But maybe they can, because they do have dragons, they do have the supernatural stuff, White Walkers and stuff, so maybe they can. But you guys can write your comments below for that one. Do you think they're going to be able to surpass some of these great episodes they've done before? For me, it's Battle of the Bastards, but you guys can write yours below on what your favorite episode was and whether or not you think this season or in Season 8 they're going to do something that can oust it for your top spot, top favorite. And then we got a few more, and you guys can start sending me questions for Game of Thrones for this season, for Season 7, any theory questions you have, ideas, anything like that, and we can start doing them. Because, of course, once Game of Thrones hits, I'll be doing, probably a couple of Q&As each week, maybe 2 or 3 after it actually gets rolling, but, want to do some leading up to it as well here, too. So Glenn Carter sent through some, and I appreciate those from Glenn. He said, would love to hear your death predictions for Season 7. So I've actually already done them. I did it last summer after Season 6 ended, and I set those up for you. So what I'll do is I'll put that in the end screen credits here when the video is over. You can click it at the end, and you can watch my death predictions on who I think is going to be killed off this season in Game of Thrones. So heads up for that. It's in the channel if you want to see it, or just click the end screen video to see who I think is going to be killed off in Game of Thrones Season 7. How would you like Jon Snow to find out about the truth about his real parents? So, I think Bran for that one. I think that makes the most sense to have, him tell him. Because, of course, getting to see them reunited again would be great. And getting to see what Bran has learned. And he'd probably be the best person to let him know of anybody. Littlefinger or somebody like that telling him, it just... I don't know. I don't know how that would go, and it'd be kind of heroic for Bran to be able to tell him that and give him kind of closure on that, because he never really did get to know entirely about him. Eddard promised that he would tell him, but he never did, because of course he never came back. He left and then was killed by sentenced to death by Joffrey, of course. So he never did find out. So that'll be a good moment for Jon if he's able to find out this season, and Bran is able to tell him about his early past, right, when he was just a baby in that. Any thoughts on what Euron Greyjoy is capable of, or possible secret weapons he may possess? Well, as I predicted since last season, once last season ended with Season 6, I said right away that I thought Euron would probably ally with Cersei. Most likely. And I think that that's still going to be the case. From what we see in the promos, the trailer and that, it looks to me like Euron probably will ally with her, and we could see them, because the thing is, Daenerys is so strong, right, that you would need, and she's got Theon and Yara for the ships and everything, but Euron's going to have even more, ships than them. We can see tons of his banners on the ships in the trailer. So it looks to me like that's probably what's going to happen. And as far as secret weapons go, I think just, he's really ruthless. He's vicious. He's super aggressive. And, he's kind of crazy as well, too. So that's going to be cool to see how that all plays out, and him being kind of one of our newer villains, because he's just been introduced fairly recently. He hasn't been in the show that long, like last season, right? So that's going to be great to see. But also the amount of ships he has. I mean, that's his, the advantage that the Greyjoys are going to have is that he's going to have the biggest fleet, I would think, of anybody. So that's going to be really to his advantage. It's going to be really help out, of course, too. And that's going to be his big thing, I think. And then just a couple to wrap things up from the the video yesterday. So I did a video yesterday letting you guys know how the channel's doing, that kind of stuff. The channel's not doing that great. But, I really do think with Game of Thrones coming back, the channel started doing better. Slumpman says, I think the decline in your channel is due to the decline in The Walking Dead's popularity. I'll watch every single Game of Thrones video that you do, brother. So thanks, Slumpman. Appreciate that. And I agree with you. There has been a slump in The Walking Dead's popularity this year. I want to say with Season 7. I can almost promise that's not going to happen with Game of Thrones. NYJats33 says, please don't end this channel. And no, I won't be ending the channel. Don't worry, guys. Nothing like that. Just let you guys know what's going on, how everything's going, and that's what's up. But yeah, really excited for Game of Thrones this year. I'm expecting it to do really, really well, and for a lot of people to really get hyped for it. So let's start getting hyped now. If you guys like this video, please don't forget to thumb it up below. You can also share and favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at the bottom left. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. I'll see you soon.